May 1st, 2014, the early hours of morning in Wahpeton, North Dakota. A young man walks out of his college dormitory carrying only a backpack, his sweatshirt pulled tight against the spring chill. This is the day 20-year-old Andrew Sadek vanished into the shadows. But what followed would become a mystery that haunted a community, rattled law enforcement practices, and sparked a fight for legislative change. Part 1. A Quiet Life Interrupted. Andrew James Sadek was born November 22, 1993, in Valley City, North Dakota. The son of farmers, a quiet and unassuming young man, he was on a path towards a promising future, studying electrical technology at the North Dakota State College of Science in nearby Wahpeton. But in April 2013, everything changed. Andrew sold a small amount of marijuana, roughly $80 worth, to someone he thought was a friend, but who turned out to be a confidential police informant. Because the sales took place on campus, those minor transactions became felony charges. Under North Dakota law, this could mean decades behind bars. It was at this point that Richland County Deputy Jason Weber, a member of the Southeast Multi-County Agency Narcotics Task Force, entered the picture. Deputy Weber told Andrew, in no uncertain terms, that he was facing 2 felony charges and 1 misdemeanor, and that the felony cases alone could result in up to 40 years in prison. There was a good possibility the young man would serve some prison time if he didn't help law enforcement. And then he offered him a deal. A lot of this could go away. Become a confidential informant, help the task force buy drugs from other sellers, wear a wire, gather evidence. In exchange, the charges could be dropped or reduced. Weber also made one critical point clear. Andrew couldn't tell a soul, not his friends, not his family, not even other police officers, that he was working with law enforcement. Faced with the prospect of years in prison and isolated with the burden of a secret, Andrew agreed to the deal. Part 2. The Underworld of Informants. For the next few months, Andrew operated in the shadows. Between November 2013 and early 2014, he completed several controlled buys of marijuana from other individuals on campus, all under the direction of Deputy Weber and Simca. But at some point in early 2014, contact began to falter. Andrew missed check-in calls. He didn't return messages. And when law enforcement finally reached him in April, Weber reiterated the terms of their agreement. Unless Andrew lined up additional controlled buys, and quickly, he would face the full weight of the felony charges. Weber gave Andrew a hard deadline, May 1st, 2014, the same day he disappeared. Part 3. The Disappearance. On the night of April 30th, Andrew returned to Nordgard Hall, the dorm he called home, watched a movie with friends, and went to sleep. Hours later, security cameras captured him walking out into the darkness, backpack on his shoulders. His phone was with him, switched off. When he didn't show up for class the next day, friends reported him missing. Campus police reviewed the footage. They saw him leave, alone, and they assumed he had fled to avoid his informant obligations. Arrest warrants were issued, not for Andrew's protection, but to compel him back into the fold. Part 4. A Body in the River. Days passed. Weeks turned to months. And on June 27, 2024, a dive team in the Red River near Breckenridge, Minnesota, made a grim discovery. A body. It was Andrew Sadek. He was still wearing his backpack, filled with rocks tied to him. A .22 caliber bullet had pierced his skull. No gun was ever found. No suicide note. No sign of struggle. The coroner could not determine whether his death was a suicide, homicide, or accident. Officials informally suggested they believed it might have been suicide, but Andrew's parents refused to accept that explanation, pointing to the odd weight in the pack, the absence of a weapon, and the fact that there was no known history of self-harm. Part 5. The Questions That Follow. Andrew's parents, Tammy and John, were left with questions. More questions than answers. Why was their son put in such danger? Had he been misled about the risk? Could he have refused? Shouldn't he have had a lawyer present? They would later allege in court that Deputy Weber misled their son by exaggerating the severity of the potential prison time and failing to adequately warn him of the dangers of being an undercover informant. But when the Sadeks filed a wrongful death lawsuit, the courts ruled that there wasn't enough evidence to prove that what Weber told Andrew or how he supervised him was the proximate cause of his death. The case was dismissed and higher courts upheld that decision. Part 6. Legacy and Reform. Yet, the case didn't just fade away, it ignited a debate about how law enforcement recruits and protects confidential informants, especially young, inexperienced individuals with their whole lives ahead of them. In 2017, North Dakota passed Andrews Law, legislation aimed at reforming the use of confidential informants. The law sought to require clearer disclosures about risk, protections, and procedural safeguards for informants, matters Andrew never received. A quiet young man caught in a system larger than himself, a promise of safety that may have been little more than a shadow, a deadline that became his last. Andrew didn't walk into the river. Something deeper, something unresolved, pulled him into the unknown. In the end, the river kept its secrets, and Andrew Sadek's last footsteps remain buried somewhere between what was said, what was promised, and what no one will ever fully explain.